The story of the United States. From revolutions to reality TV bore. The Stars and Stripes of the United States is known for fast food Hollywood and saying freedom. A lot, but long before fireworks on the 4th of July, this land was home to millions of people, thousands of years of history, and zero bald eagles in sight. Chapter 1. Before America was America. Long before anyone yelled no taxation without representation, indigenous nations had already built cities, cultures, and complex systems of government without needing a single constitution. From the Iroquois Confederacy in the Northeast to the Pueblo communities in the Southwest, indigenous peoples shaped the continent. They traded, farmed, built, and thrived. Then in came the European Spanish in the south, French up north, and the British along the east coast, all planting flags like it was a global game of Monopoly. The British colonies eventually grew into 13, with unique accents and shared annoyance over taxes. Things really went downhill when the British taxed tea. Moral of the story, if you're going to run an empire, maybe don't mess with people's caffeine. Chapter 2. The American Revolution. Imagine ghosting your ex, but they keep sending redcoats to your doorstep. That was basically the vibe in 1776. After years of tension, protests, and tea-dumping tantrums, the colonies said, "We're done," and declared independence. George Washington led the Continental Army in a long, scrappy fight against the British Empire. With some help from the French, the colonists won. By 1783, the United States was born. No monarchy, just liberty, debates, and very long founding documents. Freedom was official. Now they just had to figure out how to actually run a country. Chapter 3. The Wild West, Civil War. And trying to stay united, the U.S. grew faster than a teenager on energy drinks and with just as much drama. In the 1800s, the country expanded westward, bought Louisiana from France, fought a war with Mexico, and discovered gold. But while Americans chased land and riches, a darker conflict was brewing. Slavery. The North wanted it gone. The South wanted it to stay. In 1861, the Civil War broke out. Abraham Lincoln led the Union to victory. Slavery was abolished, and the country began the long, painful road to Reconstruction. The U.S. survived its biggest internal crisis, but the scars would last for generations. Chapter 4. Industrial boom and global flexing factories. Railroads and skyscrapers. America traded in its horses for steam engines and never looked back. By the late 1800s, the U.S. was an industrial powerhouse. Immigrants poured in, cities rose, and steel and oil tycoons got rich enough to build castles. But it wasn't all glory. There were brutal working conditions, tenement housing, and economic crashes. Then came World War I. The U.S. joined late, helped win, and said, "Let's never do that again." Spoiler, they did. Lesson. When you say never again, maybe don't follow it up with World War II. Chapter 5. Superpower mode, Cold Wars, and moonwalks. By the mid-1900s, America wasn't just big, it was everywhere. World War II ended with the U.S. emerging as a global superpower. Europe was rebuilding. The Soviet Union was glaring. And so began the Cold War spies, nukes, and space races. Meanwhile, the civil rights movement fought for justice and equality. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and countless others helped reshape the nation's conscience, though the struggle was far from over. In 1969, the U.S. landed a man on the moon, officially winning the space race. Not bad for a country that started as a tax revolt. From segregation to spacewalks, America was evolving, sometimes in leaps, sometimes in stumbles. Chapter 6. The Modern Era WIF, Whiplash, and What Now? The U.S. entered the 21st century with tech in its pocket, culture in its backpack, and a million opinions about everything. From Silicon Valley to streaming platforms, the U.S. led the digital age, but it also faced 9/11s, wars in the Middle East, economic crises, and deepening political divides. Today, it's a nation of contradictions, booming innovation, growing inequality, diverse voices, and constant reinvention. It's a place where TikTok trends and congressional hearings exist in the same 24-hour news cycle. America may not always agree with itself, but it never stops moving. The American dream. The U.S. isn't just a country, it's a concept. An idea built on freedom, struggle, ambition, and the constant debate over what all of that really means. From revolutions to reality TV, America's story is loud, messy, and deeply human. It's shaped by immigration, invention, and the belief that tomorrow can be better even if today is complicated. The United States. 50 states, 330 million voices, and one very unfinished story.